This show is sponsored by Set for Life Insurance, the ultimate client experience in the insurance industry. Are you looking for the perfect insurance coverage that suits your needs? Founded in 1993 by President Jamie K. Fleischner, Set for Life Insurance specializes in individual life, disability, and long-term care insurance. As brokers, they represent numerous companies in the industry, ensuring that their clients get the best products at the most cost-effective rate.
What sets Set for Life Insurance apart? You'll enjoy special discounts, priority underwriting handling, and even exceptions in the underwriting process. So why wait? Contact Set for Life Insurance today and let them be your insurance partner for life. Visit their website at www.setforlifeinsurance.com or call them toll-free at 1-888-553-3559.
Finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another BS Free MD Truth Bomb episode. Tim and I are calling this one Family Planning, and it might not be exactly what you're thinking when you hear family planning. So, no, we're not having a third child into our 60s. That would be family unplanning. But what we've really actually crossed our minds and been thinking about since we're moving and our kids are gone, we have really no family here, and then our sons come back to visit, and we were just talking about seasons of life and how with family it totally changes. And you might think or plan or try to, I guess, plan your future and predict what's going to happen based upon, I should say, where everybody's going to live, your parents, kids, grandparents, littles. But life happens and people move and change and go different directions. And what might have started off as your normal to begin with completely changes. And that's basically kind of how we, or what we're reflecting on now. So we both grew up, I grew up in a small town with my direct core family and my both sets of grandparents. It was a great upbringing as a kid. I was really close to them. And then I went away to university. I moved away. Tim and I moved countries, literally to the point where we had no family. We were in another country. We had kids. We raised our kids. They were here. My dad moved down after my mom passed to be close because he had no other grandkids. And now we have our new core family. And now it's changed again where my dad's moved back to Canada to live near my sister. The kids are moving away. And we have really no direct family here. And my family is now very small. I just have my sister and my dad who live in another country. And I'll let Tim jump in what his experience is like.
People's Republic of Canada.
But share kind of how your family stuff's changed. Man, you had a big family, lots of cousins where you grew up. And look at our kids have no cousins, really.
I don't know, though. It's really interesting because my parents were truly honest to God sons of the pioneers. So my mother's both her parents, but her father particularly immigrated from what would be either Ukraine or Belarus now.
Now you're going way back.
No, but you have to, because I think it makes the point, which is really interesting. So they left in 1902 because of religious persecution from the Russian Orthodox Church. I think it was my grandfather's uncle got his eyes gouged out for reading the Bible. So they're like, peace out, Russia. And they went to Saskatchewan, and it was god awful. And they lived in a dugout, which was a hole in the ground with a roof on it, 3 families. and none of them died poor. They all took the homesteading, $5 that got you a section of land or whatever it was. And they did very well for themselves. The thing that was fascinating is when they moved, they didn't move alone. It wasn't like us. It wasn't like people now where they're like, okay, our kids are gone. We're going to move to another part of the country. And if that sucks, we'll go to another place. We don't care. We have zero ties. Essentially, their entire core religious group in this town all moved at the same time to the same place. So they had all of these unbelievably powerful familial and tribal connections that all moved at the same time. And that was really common for immigrants to the United States and Canada 100, 150 years ago. Entire towns would move. So they had generations of connection, even though they were thousands and thousands of miles away from their home of origin. They continued their culture, their cuisine, their language. And we don't do that now. Mm-mm. Like even my grandfather's kids, who were born in the 1920s, like 100 years ago, my mother stayed close to where she was raised, but not right where she was raised. And her brother and sister moved hundreds of miles away. Like that never happened before. And it never really happened until the middle of the 20th century, which is fascinating because I look at our, we get along great with, May's sister, have an excellent time. She's super fun. May and her get along great with, family matters, dealing with an elderly parent, etc. I really have no major issues as far as getting along with my siblings. When my mother passed away, everything was just absolutely seamless. There was no fighting. Everything was agreed ahead of time, but we're not close. Like, I'm kind of close to one sister, but we get along. We could go on vacation together, but it's just completely different than the way humans normally relate to their families and I'm not really judging because I can't judge the other way. Because we have lots of friends that have grown up in the area we live in right now, and they have these massive connections that go back literally to the Oregon Trail, and they'll never leave. And part of me says, I don't know what's better. I'm probably doing what people did 200 years ago is probably better. But we're not going back, and we have a different life. But I find it interesting. I mean, I wonder how different our lives would be if we lived like that.
Well, yeah, that is interesting. I never really thought about the whole core group of people all moving as a unit. I think it's cool because you keep culture and ties, and that's all important. And I think a lot of mental health stuff would be a lot better because you have like-minded individuals supporting each other. But I do think there's a place, and we've always said it, for people to leave their place of like birth or upbringing and get out and see the world and see what it has to offer. Whether you go to college somewhere else across the country or you do a year or two working somewhere, if you want to come back home because you're close to your family and that's important, great. But I really think there's an important part of getting away as well, because it really makes you grow up as an individual and see what the rest of the world is.
Well, I think so. But I think that there's a massive, massive turd pile in this whole business that started probably in the 70s, which is I got to find myself. Well, in reality, your social core, if you have a strong family, you already found yourself. Like, seriously. And I think that there was this
some
idea.
People get tied down to that, and they really don't.
Some people do, but I think that there was this. I think that we bred a lot of discontentment in people by telling them that there's more out there, and there is, but there's also more in there.
Yeah.
You're when you leave, you're leaving something and you're going to something. And one of my very good friends told me, he said, when we were considering moving, a year or 2 years ago, he's like, you really don't want to leave because you want to leave something. You really want to leave because you're going to something else.
Have you heard of hyperbaric therapy?
If you want better circulation, oxygenation, or respiration,
Turn up the volume.
everyone appreciates the increased energy and clarity.
Athletes say goodbye to those PRs because you're going to blast
So
them.
how does it work?
We load your body with oxygen.
That means
Less inflammation,
fewer allergies,
faster healing, and more.
Come see us, 1200 Executive Parkway.
You know, the Upside Down building.
Call us 541-636-3278.
That's 541-636-3278.
We have some incredible deals.
Heal, build, and thrive
With New Leaf Hyperbarics.
Got air?
Yeah, and that's great advice. And
And that took a long time for me to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I get it. Now the attraction of what potentially is going to happen is a way bigger deal than just saying, okay, well, we did everything we wanted to do here. Now it's time to go. That's an element of it. But
I guess I'm thinking in terms of college age kids graduating high school more so than people our age, for just getting out there and having their eyes open to what the world has to offer, because it's sometimes too easy to just be comfortable, settle, stay there, and fall into a cycle of where you have so much more potential.
Well, I think,
especially if you're in a very small town, not a city.
I would 100% advise every single kid to leave wherever they're from.
That's what I was
for
thinking.
college. I think that's a complete no-brainer.
But
because you'll either see, wow, there's a big world and this is what I want, or you'll go, wow, what I had was really amazing and now I really appreciate it. I think you gotta kind of be the fish that jumps out of the water and sees the air and goes, okay, I get it. There's another side. But at the same time, I never would have thought this even 10 years ago. Our core families are very similar as far as everyone gets along, but no one feels the need like they have to live next to each other. And I don't think that's as far as the span of humanity, especially, even the United States, I don't think that's necessarily, I'm not going to say it's not normal. That was never the norm for most of the time. You stayed in the cave with your tribe.
Right. So taking it back to the beginning, my point of having this discussion really was, you might even think that you want to be close to your family forever and raise your kids because your parents are there and the cousins. But sometimes life changes and all those parents and cousins might move away. Your kids might move away and move on. That's what happened actually with my parents. They were planning on staying put till retirement, and then my dad's job changed and they had to move after living in the place that they were born and raised, and they were in their 50s, and that was tough for them. So some people plant themselves thinking, okay, I got my grandkids, and everybody's happy and we're just going to be here forever. And then, kids and grandkids have job opportunities and they're gone, and there you are. And so all of this to say that life happens, life changes. You think that you can plan about how you want it all to be, but you can't. Life happens, and be ready to face change, challenges, rethinking your way of what your core family is, where you're going to live, because not everybody gets to be close to their parents or their kids and grandkids, and sometimes they move and that upsets the apple cart. So I'm just talking out loud about our own situations, and our kids are never going to be on this part of the world as far as we know it. So it's like, what do we do? Ironically, as we just talking about moving to Florida, then our daughter throws out a stupid bomb of, I think that maybe we'd move to Oregon so that we can do this and this and this. And I'm like, no, you're kidding me. Anyway, see what I mean? You can't always plan because things change.
No, that's exactly right. And I think it's really interesting. And the thing that's really crazy is when you compare what happened with my grandparents and then their kids, and then you look at us, and we actually stayed in the community for almost 30 years. It'll be almost to the day 29 years when we leave. And that just almost never happens. And it's super interesting because when we talk to other people in the medical industry, financial advisors and so forth that counsel tons of younger doctors, I think the average length to stay in a job is 3 or 4 years.
I thought it was 7 for a house. I don't know
But
I know for a house it's about 7 years, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you stay 10 years in a job, even a medical job, which is pretty stable, and actually it takes
your Marcus Welby is what you are.
Yeah. It takes it, I don't know for specialists because I'm not a specialist, but I would imagine it's very similar. It takes a good 5 years to establish a practice. And I would imagine in a lot of specialty practices, it may even take longer because you have to show your skill set, earn trust, and then have a stable referral base, which is, essentially you're selling this to other doctors.
Yeah. But hey, if you're a nurse, the whole world's your oyster,
Right. But, and there's people in the medical industry now, physicians that they live wherever the hell they want because they just work 6 months at a time or 3 months at a time.
Oh yeah. Doing locums, bouncing around.
And if you're especially in a high demand specialty where stuff never changes, where you just drop into a hospital and, the dialysis machines or the ventilators or whatever, they're the same everywhere.
I thought the military or the police in Canada was bad for moving people like every 2 years, but that would drive me nuts to bounce around quite like that. If I was single, it would be fun for a little while. If you got a family, you can't do that. That's hard on the kids.
Yeah, but I know a guy who I went to high school with, and he works in 2 or 3 places, and that he just set up sort of his temporary whatever in 2 or 3 places.
And does he have a whole family?
I don't think he has any.
Yeah, there you go. And that sums this up. So anyway, with family planning, you can plan. Plans change. Be ready to change with the times and the tides. And just be open-minded and know that, I don't know, your family, your friends are all important, but sometimes the best laid plans don't always work out, and that's okay. So that's what's on our mind this week. We hope you enjoyed this Truth Bomb. If you got any suggestions or thoughts on what you'd like to hear us bounce off each other, argue about, or pontificate on, send us an email. All right. And you say?
Bombs away.
No matter what your insurance needs are, Set for Life Insurance has you covered. They're a nationally recognized leader in disability, life, and long-term care insurance, serving clients across all 50 states. Their dedicated team specializes in assisting medical residents, physicians, dentists, business owners, and other high-income professionals.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit, uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
But we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible. We can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.